The golf world was waiting for Bryson DeChambeau to speak. Saudi Arabia's PIF had just pulled the plug on LIV Golf after the 2026 season. His contract expires in months. The rumors were everywhere that he was secretly negotiating a return to the PGA Tour, that his representatives had already reached out, that the $125 million man was looking for an exit. But when Bryson finally broke his silence, what he said shocked everyone. He did not announce a return to the PGA Tour. He did not confirm he was leaving LIV. Instead, he revealed something completely unexpected. "I'd love to grow my YouTube channel 3 times," he said. "And then I'd love to play tournaments that want me. Not the PGA Tour. Tournaments that want him." This changes everything. This is Golfio. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell. The bombshell that changed everything dropped on May 5, 2026. Bryson DeChambeau, the two-time U.S. Open champion, the face of LIV Golf, the man who took $125 million to leave the PGA Tour, finally addressed his future. He was standing at Trump National Golf Club in Virginia, preparing for this week's LIV Golf tournament. The cameras were rolling. The reporters were waiting. And what he said has left the golf world reeling. "I think, from my perspective, I'd love to grow my YouTube channel 3 times, maybe even more," DeChambeau told ESPN. "I would love to. I'd love to do a bunch of dubbing in different languages, giving the world more reason to watch YouTube. And then I'd love to play tournaments that want me. Let that sink in." The two-time major winner, a player who was once considered the future of the PGA Tour, just said that his priority is YouTube. Not the Tour, not LIV, YouTube. He has 2.69 million subscribers. His Break 50 series, featuring LeBron James and Donald Trump, draws millions of views. He has built a media empire that exists entirely outside the traditional structures of professional golf. And now, he is signaling that if LIV Golf collapses, he may not come back to the PGA Tour at all. But the YouTube revelation is just the beginning. DeChambeau also revealed something that directly contradicts what he said just days earlier. Last week, when asked about reports that his representatives had contacted the PGA Tour, he called them completely untrue. Now, he admits that he has had conversations. "I've definitely had discussions with the PGA Tour about what a return would look like," he told the media. The contradiction is striking, and it reveals the truth about Bryson DeChambeau's position. He is not running away from the PGA Tour, but he is also not begging to come back. He is exploring his options, and right now, YouTube is looking more attractive than the Tour's penalties. What did the PGA Tour offer Bryson DeChambeau, and why is he so unimpressed? The answers reveal the depth of the divide between the two sides. Brooks Koepka's return earlier this year came with substantial penalties. He was required to make a $5 million charitable donation, give up access to FedEx Cup bonus money for 2026, and forfeit sponsor exemptions into signature events. DeChambeau was apparently offered a similar deal, and he is not interested. "It's quite unfortunate, in my opinion, considering what I could do for them," DeChambeau said of the potential sanctions. That sentence is loaded. What I could do for them. DeChambeau is not just talking about his golf. He is talking about his media empire, his YouTube channel, his 2.69 million subscribers. He believes that he brings value to the PGA Tour, value that the Tour is ignoring. The contrast with Brooks Koepka could not be more stark. Koepka accepted the penalties and returned without complaint. DeChambeau is balking. "I didn't know he'd be willing to give that much back," DeChambeau said of Koepka's deal. It was a subtle dig, not at Koepka, but at the system that required such a steep price. DeChambeau's frustration is understandable. He left the PGA Tour in 2022, joining LIV Golf for a reported $125 million. He was among 11 golfers who filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Tour, alleging it used its monopoly power to unfairly suspend players who joined LIV. He withdrew from that lawsuit in May 2023, but the wounds remain. The Tour has not forgotten, and the penalties they are demanding reflect that. But here is the twist. DeChambeau is not just a golfer anymore. He is a content creator, a media personality, a brand, and he believes that brand is worth more than the PGA Tour is offering. "I'd love to grow my YouTube channel 3 times, maybe even more," he said. That is not a throwaway line. It is a statement of intent. He sees a future where his YouTube channel generates more revenue and more influence than his golf game. And he may be right. The backdrop to DeChambeau's comments is the collapse of the financial model that made LIV Golf possible. On April 29, 2026, Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund announced that it would end its funding of LIV Golf after the 2026 season. More than $5 billion had been spent since 2022. The blank check was closed, and DeChambeau, like every other LIV player, was caught off guard. "I was completely shocked," DeChambeau said. "I didn't expect it to happen. A couple months before that, it's like, we're here until 2032. We've got financing until 2032. And so I told everybody. And that's what I was told. And then, I haven't had any communication. And unfortunately, things are moving on in a different direction." The timing could not be worse. DeChambeau's LIV contract expires at the end of this season. He was reportedly seeking up to $500 million to re-sign. Those negotiations are now dead in the water. Without Saudi money, LIV cannot afford to pay him anything close to that. And with the league's future in doubt, DeChambeau is left scrambling for options. That is why his YouTube comments matter so much. They are not just about content creation. They are about leverage. By threatening to walk away from professional golf entirely, to focus on YouTube and play only the majors, DeChambeau is sending a message to both LIV and the PGA Tour. He does not need them. He has options. LIV CEO Scott O'Neill acknowledged the complexity of the situation. When asked whether DeChambeau will sign a new contract, O'Neill was cautious. "That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. We'll sort through and work through. I appreciate the question. It's just Bryson's special. He's different and special. You want to talk about a business partner. He's smart. He's driven. He's committed. And he's a heck of a partner." The language is revealing. O'Neill calls DeChambeau a business partner, not just a player. That is exactly how DeChambeau sees himself. And that is why the YouTube future is not just a backup plan. It is a statement. Bryson DeChambeau is no longer just a golfer. He is a brand. And brands do not need permission to exist. But the YouTube option raises a critical question. Can Bryson DeChambeau actually compete in majors without playing a full schedule? History suggests the answer is no. The prevailing wisdom in golf is that you need competitive reps to stay sharp. You cannot just show up at the Masters after months of filming YouTube videos and expect to contend. DeChambeau disagrees. He has claimed before that he could still be a competitive force in the majors without playing on one of the traditional tours, and he is unfazed by the skepticism. "That's an incredibly viable option, I'll tell you that," he said. "The numbers back him up, at least in the short term." DeChambeau won the 2024 U.S. Open, so he has an exemption there until 2034. He is guaranteed entries to the Masters, the Open Championship, and the PGA Championship through at least 2028. That is 4 majors a year for the next 2 years, plus the U.S. Open for the next 8 years. He does not need a tour card to play the biggest events, but can he win without the competitive rhythm that comes from playing every week? That is the question that divides golf analysts. Michael Kim, the PGA Tour winner, was blunt in his assessment. "You can't replace real competition reps," Kim said. "Breaking 50 with LeBron isn't the same as going against Scotty at Hilton Head." Others are more open to the possibility. Dan Rappaport argued that DeChambeau is the only guy I think could actually do it and not have his play suffer. Regardless of who is right, one thing is certain. DeChambeau is serious about this option, and his willingness to walk away from professional golf entirely gives him enormous leverage in any negotiation with the PGA Tour. DeChambeau also used his media availability to call for an end to the golf civil war. His message was aimed at both sides. "The egos need to get dropped," DeChambeau said. "Everybody needs to come in with a level-headed playing field, with an opportunistic mindset to grow the game of golf. That's why I came over here. That's why I do what I do on YouTube." He believes that a merger between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf is still possible, and that it would be good for everyone. "If we have a great business model and they're very interested in combining forces, that's the kumbaya moment, right?" he said. "So, it's our job to come up with a better business plan on the top company side. The team franchises. There's enough making profit now to where we could sell them for close to $200 million, and that's not talking about my team either. So where does Bryson DeChambeau go from here? The YouTube future is real. The PGA Tour return is uncertain. And the LIV Golf collapse is looming. Let me break down 3 possibilities. Possibility 1. LIV Golf finds new investors, and DeChambeau stays. This is what DeChambeau says he wants. LIV has announced a new independent board and is actively seeking long-term financial partners. The league claims 100% revenue growth and 10 profitable teams. If new investors can be found, LIV could survive in a diminished form. DeChambeau could sign a new contract, not for the $500 million he sought, but for something that makes sense. For the new financial reality, he would continue to lead the Crushers, build his junior academies, and grow his YouTube channel on the side. Possibility 2. LIV collapses, and DeChambeau returns to the PGA Tour. This is the scenario that many fans expect. The PIF funding is gone. The league is searching for investors. If no one steps forward, LIV Golf will cease to exist after the 2026 season. In that case, DeChambeau would have to decide where to play. The PGA Tour is the obvious answer, but DeChambeau has made it clear that he will not accept the same penalties that Brooks Koepka accepted. "It's quite unfortunate, in my opinion, considering what I could do for them," he said. "The negotiations would be tense, but if the tour wants its biggest star back, they may have to compromise." Possibility 3. DeChambeau becomes a full-time YouTuber who plays only the majors. This is the wild card scenario, and the one that would be most disruptive to professional golf. DeChambeau walks away from LIV and the PGA Tour entirely. He focuses on growing his YouTube channel to 5 million, 6 million, maybe 8 million subscribers. He plays the 4 majors each year, plus selected invitationals that want him. He proves that a professional golfer can thrive outside the traditional system. It would be unprecedented. It would be risky. It would be exactly the kind of outside-the-box thinking that has defined Bryson DeChambeau's entire career. My final take is this. Bryson DeChambeau just hinted at a YouTube future. His comments have thrown his potential PGA Tour return into serious question. The man who once sued the tour, who called it obnoxiously greedy, who led the charge to LIV, is now saying that he may not come back even if LIV fails. That is not a negotiation tactic. That is a fundamental shift in how he sees his career. He is no longer just a golfer. He is a content creator, a media personality, a brand. And brands do not need the PGA Tour. They need audiences. And Bryson DeChambeau has 2.69 million of them, and counting. This is Golfio. If you made it to the end of this video, you care about the real stories behind the game. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into the moments that matter, and leave a comment below. Will Bryson really choose YouTube over the PGA Tour? I will see you in the next video. For more coverage in golf, subscribe and hit the notification bell.